がここにいるうちの本物のスクールスポーツのために行こうぜベイビーバンこの国は気をつけて、現実になることがありますからね。
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and continue the long-standing tradition of covering Japanese boxing here on True School Sports. True School Sports, the #1 source for Japanese boxing in America, for an American. Arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. And ayete okata. Nice to see everybody here once again showing that love and that passion and that support that I'm sure we all have for this glorious sport of boxing. Now listen guys, this is I'm going to throw something out there. This is an organic thought. This is not a news video. This is more so like something that I would like to see happen and that I think is a possibility. I think it's realistic. So I just made a video about Jin Sasaki, you know, former world title challenger, one of the most explosive punchers still in the welterweight division, one of my favorite fighters in boxing, honestly. He's back in training following his devastating highlight reel knockout loss to Brian Norman Jr. And a lot of questions are being asked about the future of his career. You know, what direction is he going to go? Who is he going to fight? You know, these kind of things. Now, there's plenty of fights that I think make sense for him. But one fight in the future, I'm not saying it's got to be next, but I'm saying in the future. Could be, you know, the next 6 months. It could be a year from now. It could be a year and a half from now. But either way, at some point in time, I'd love to see this fight because I think it would be a great fight for boxing. And I think it would be a great fight for both fighters. And that fight, I would like to see. Call it a dream fight, if you will. But I think a great fight for the welterweight division would be Jin Sasaki once again stepping up to the plate and fighting the most exciting man in boxing. Woo! Blair Cobbs. I think Jin Sasaki versus Blair Cobbs would be a great fight. And it's a matchup that nobody's really, I haven't heard really nobody ever mentioned before. But I think it makes a lot of sense when you think about it, right? Because Blair Cobbs, he sees himself as a mega attraction, right? A guy that deserves to be in big fights. Jin Sasaki was just in a big fight against a guy that I'm sure Blair would love to fight in the future, and Brian Norman Jr. But boxing is all about styles. They say styles make fights. Styles make fights, styles make moments, and styles make, you know, a great night at the fights for the fans. And I feel like both these guys' styles would mesh amazing. You know, you talk about Blair Cobbs. He's a guy that's a southpaw. He's got some quickness to him. Blair is good. I like Blair. I think Blair can sometimes be, like, he's shown heart, he's shown determination, he's shown that ability to grind it out in those later rounds like he did against Maurice Hooker. But from watching him, even when he fought Broner, even when he fought Hooker, he does look like a bit of a front runner. You know, I'm talking about a guy that is very strong, incredibly dangerous for them first 4 to 5 rounds. But after you get him past them first 4 to 5 rounds, he doesn't quite have that same explosiveness. He's not carrying that power into the middle and later rounds, in my opinion, right? From what I've seen in his last couple of fights. And just throughout the duration of his career, because I've been watching Blair Cobbs for a long time, going back all the way to when he fought this Mexican, Villalobos. Him, I covered the Rocha fight, I was there. You know, I like Blair, but I know what he is. He's a fun fighter. He's a, you know, right now I'll probably say he's not a contender because he hasn't really fought in a while, so he's not active. But, you know, when he was active, I'd say he's probably a fringe contender. But he's a guy that boxing needs. He's a good TV fighter, and I think with the right guy in front of him, he could really be in one of the fight of the year type fights. And I think Jin Sasaki is that kind of fighter that's going to give him what he wants. Jin Sasaki's going to go in there. He's gonna look for that big left hook. He's gonna sometimes overshoot on punches. He's gonna give Blair Cobbs plenty of counter punch opportunities, but he's gonna let the leather fly. He's gonna try to knock Blair Cobbs out. And so I think if they were to fight, hypothetically, if Blair is to catch Jin Sasaki with anything remotely hard in the first 4 to 5 rounds, I think it's possible Blair could stop Jin in the first 4 to 5 rounds, especially when you consider that Jin's already been knocked out by Andy Hiroka, already been knocked out brutally by Brian Norman Jr. His chin should be called into question. His durability should be called into question. And he doesn't fight in a manner that, you know, minimizes risk. He fights in a manner that maximizes risk. So first 4 to 5 rounds, I favor Blair. But if it get past the 5th, 6th round and Jin hasn't been hurt too much, I think Jin has an advantage. I think Jin would be the stronger fighter in the latter parts of the fight. And I think we would get some great exchanges. I think we would get 2 fighters trying to punch through the target. I think it'd be a great fight. And one thing about Blair is I think it's a fight where you could get Blair to come to Japan, because I think the promoters would look at Blair and the guys he's fought and the names on his resume and the former champions he's beat, like Hooker and Broner, although they were, not at their best, he still beat them. And he's a guy with a personality. He's a guy who I think would help bring out the best in Jin in the ring and outside the ring. And I think I know Blair has been to Japan. I know he spent some time out there in Osaka. And I think Blair would love, and I think Blair's the kind of guy that would welcome the idea, just so long as he's compensated. I think Blair would welcome the idea of going to Japan to fight this guy. And I think it'd be a great fight. I wouldn't really care who wins, because believe it or not, these are actually two of my favorite welterweights. Blair Cobbs and Jin Sasaki are probably two of my favorite welterweights because they're just fun. Not every fighter needs to be pound for pound, all these skills. Sometimes, I don't care about that. Sometimes I care about, just are you entertaining? Are you likable? Are you fun? These guys, to me, they're entertaining, they're likable, they're fun. They come to fight. Even when they win or lose, I don't have to ever question myself if they tried their best. I feel like Jin always leaves it all in the ring. I feel like Blair always leaves it all in the ring. So I would love this fight. And if I had to rank my top 3 fights I want to see at welterweight division, this would be my top 3. And I want to put it out there, and I want to see what you guys, the boxing fans, think, because I really, really believe in my heart of hearts that Jin Sasaki versus Blair Cobbs would be an awesome fight. Promotionally, in the fight, and I think the winner of that fight, it would do a lot for their career. For Jin, if he beats Blair Cobbs, I think it's, let me see. Yeah, I think if he beat Blair Cobbs, that'd be the best one on his resume. Because Blair has been in there with champions. He's been in there with guys who are contenders like Alexis Rocha. He's won some, he's lost some. I think he'd be the best one on his resume. And even for Blair, I feel like for Blair, if Blair were to be a guy like Jin, although Jin isn't like the biggest name, I feel like because of where he's at in his career, he's a younger fighter. He still has something left in the tank. I think it would actually be a better win for him, because he probably had to fight in Japan. It would be a better win for him than him fighting the version of Broner and Hooker that he fought. In my opinion, although those guys were champions, Broner was well past it, and Hooker, Hooker had seen some better days himself. And 147 is not really his weight class. So I like this fight for both of them. I feel like either one of these guys who wins this fight, you could make a legitimate claim that they would be the best wins on each other's resume, and then the winner of that fight could then be looked at as like a legit top 10 welterweight contender. And I'm gonna tell you this: that's the kind of fight that when it happens, whoever wins that fight, there really won't be any losers. I feel like even the guy who loses that fight, the stock's going to go up, because it's going to be one of them fights. If they were to ever fight, it's going to be one of them fights that people remember, because these guys both fight in a manner where they're looking to knock you and run you unconscious. But who knows? Maybe it's a fight where one of them decides to box. You never know what you'd expect in boxing. But I just think this fight would deliver if it ever did happen. So I'm putting it out there because it's a fight that I've been talking about a lot recently in my life. So what do you guys think? Blair Cobbs, Jin Sasaki. If it were to ever happen, how do you guys see that fight? Leave your comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. For more great boxing content just like this, make sure you guys stay tuned and subscribe. You won't be disappointed.